And with what's been happening recently in KCK, especially with Roger Golubski, we had to tap into the KCK District Attorney, Mr. Mark Dupree, and get some clarity on some of these situations. Good morning, Mr. Dupree.
20 plus years back, which ultimately led me to say, yes, this man did not do this crime and he needs to have this conviction thrown out. And then the Attorney General ultimately agreed and settled and gave him the certificate of innocence. Once I did that investigation and reviewed all of the facts of that case, it was my office that then contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office and said, hey, if there's one officer that was doing what I have seen in this case, then there may be others. But you all need to look at this. You need to find all of the facts that we have. And ultimately, all these years later, you get the federal indictment of Golubski. I say all of that to say this. Elections matter. And Wyandotte County is my home. And they elected me to be a voice for the people. And with that, I had to look, and I continue to look and find where mistakes were made and where corruption occurred. And when I find them, I then do something about them. Since that McIntyre situation occurred, we have since created the Conviction Integrity Unit, whose only job is to review potential wrongful convictions. And then we also push for a public defender's office in Wyandotte County, which we have never had. Hence, you had individuals like McIntyre had, who had appointed counsel who had been suspended from practicing law and got his license back and continued to represent individuals. And now this person is disbarred. Where we are today is we have individuals in authority who are trying to do their part in fixing things that were wrong, such as the two individuals today. The court found that in 2009, 2010, under a different administration, the prosecutor, just bottom line, hid evidence. They violated the law. They did not turn over information, and there was exculpatory evidence that the prosecution by law should have given over. When the conviction was thrown out, it then comes back to me and says, Dupree, do you retry these individuals? When you see that there was foul play in this prosecution, you need to right the wrongs. And so today I announce not only am I not refiling these cases, I am dismissing them outright, and we are not retrying either of these individuals, because right is right and wrong is wrong. And yes, the law can be tough, it can be harsh, but it is supposed to be fair. Yes, you had individuals like Golubski who was out there, and maybe you have others that were out there, but we are at a place where we have individuals such as myself and a new police chief who are working together to try to right those wrongs and fix those situations from the positions that we are in.
As mentioned, within the last 48 hours, those two gentlemen by the name of Cedric Warren and Dominic Moore have been released. And I have two questions for you, Mr. Dupree. Were their convictions annulled due to any type of involvement with Golubski? And do you foresee any rulings being overruled for other individuals who were directly connected to Golubski?
The court made a specific finding that it did not. And so the specific findings dealt directly with the evidence that was withheld, which was the medical records concerning their prime, at the time, the prosecution's prime witness. So he made it a point to focus on why he made his ruling, and it did not include Golubski. And he made it a point to state that. And I think that's extremely important. Golubski was the captain at that time. He was not the detective on this case. He did not go and investigate this case as he did on the McIntyre case. This was a different scenario and a different situation. And so, no, this case was not overturned on anything concerning Golubski. In fact, its entire basis, for the most part, was due to the prosecutor who was on the case at the time not turning over evidence. And so that's the first for your first question. The second one is, I said back in 2018, after we have created the Conviction Integrity Unit, that my focus was to digitize all of our files so that we can review not just the Golubski cases, but all cases. And if there are individuals who believe that they were wrongly convicted for reasons of prosecutorial misconduct, such as we have seen in the Moore and Warren case, or if it was due to some rogue police officer or rogue prosecutor, then we would have the ability to review them. And so I think we are getting to a place, and on that note, our digitizing efforts are concluding. Before the digitizing of all of these files, nobody knew how many cases Golubski or anyone else had done, because everything was in paper form in files. And so there was no way to go and track and see who was on what case at what time. My administration has taken this huge undertaking to put 60 to 80 years of files into the computer so that we can look and see these cases in the DA's office and in the Conviction Integrity Unit of any potential wrongdoing of their cases. Now, let me say this. In law, it takes evidence to prosecute a person, and the law states that it takes evidence for us to undo a conviction. It takes more than saying a person's name. Just because Golubski's name is said does not mean that that takes away DNA, fingerprints, and other eyewitnesses that may have had or saw or taken part in that trial. And so with that, as individuals come forth, it's important that they come forth willing to testify, willing to come to court, and willing to provide that evidence. Because if we don't have that, I'm stuck by law as the chief law enforcement official. I cannot do anything, and we cannot ask the court to set it aside without evidence.
One last question. Is there an updated status on the Roger Golubski case due to, of course, the findings of him deceased on the day he was supposed to be at trial?
There is nothing at this point. What I will tell you is that the Wyandotte County District Attorney's Office, alongside the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, is in an ongoing investigation concerning the death of Roger Golubski. So by law, I can't discuss anything concerning that.
Mr. Dupree, man, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate your dedication to the KCK community, man. Thank you so much for getting up early and hustling and shining with us, man. It means the world to us. Thank you.
I appreciate you all having me this morning. I appreciate you covering my home, Wyandotte County. You're always welcome at anything and anytime I can come on. Just reach out. You got my number. You all be blessed.